This lesson, you will find that money weaves itself into the entire fabric of our very existence, that the law of success is service, that we get what we give, and for this reason we should consider it a great privilege to be able to give. We have found that thought is the creative activity behind every constructive enterprise. We can, therefore, give nothing of more practical value than our thought. Creative thought requires attention, and the power of attention is, as we have found, superhuman. Attention develops concentration, and concentration develops spiritual power, which is the mightiest force in existence. This is the science embracing all sciences. It's the art, above all arts, relevant to human life. In the mastery of this science and this art, there is opportunity for unending progression. Perfection in this is not acquired in 6 days, 6 weeks, or even in 6 months. It is the labor of life. To not go forward is to go backward. Desire is the attractive force that sets the current in motion, and fear is the great obstacle by which the current is stopped or reversed and turned away from us. Fear is just the opposite from money consciousness. It is poverty consciousness. And since the law is unchangeable and we get exactly what we give, if we fear, we get what we feared. We get what we give. It's inevitable, then, that the entertainment of positive, constructive, and unselfish thoughts would have a far-reaching effect for good. Compensation is the keynote of the universe. Nature is constantly seeking equilibrium. Where something is sent out, something must be received to fill the vacuum. Because of this rule, you cannot fail to profit in proportion to your effort when using this method. Money consciousness is an attitude of mind, the open door to the arteries of commerce, and the receptive attitude. Money weaves itself into the entire fabric of our very existence. It engages the best thought of the best minds. We make money by making friends, and we enlarge our circle of friends by making money for them, by helping them, by being of service to them. The law of success, then, is service, and this in turn is built on integrity and justice. Anyone who is not at least fair in intention is simply ignorant. Such a person has misunderstood the fundamental law of all exchange. His goal is impossible, and he will surely lose. He may not know it, and he may think he is winning, but he is doomed to certain defeat. He cannot cheat the infinite. The law of compensation will demand of him an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. A generous thought is filled with strength and vitality, but a selfish thought contains the germs of dissolution. It will disintegrate and pass away. Great financiers are simply channels for the distribution of wealth. Enormous amounts come and go, but it would be as dangerous to stop the output as it would be to stop the income. Both ends must remain open. So, our greatest success will come as we recognize that its giving is as essential as receiving. The forces of life are composed of our thoughts and ideals, and these in turn are molded into form. Our problem is to keep an open mind, to constantly reach out for the new, to recognize opportunity, to be interested in the race rather than the goal, because the pleasure is in the pursuit rather than the possession. You can make a money magnet of yourself, but to do so, you must first consider how you can make money for other people. If you have the necessary insight to perceive and utilize opportunities and favorable conditions, as well as recognize values, you can put yourself in position to take advantage of them. Your greatest success will come as you are able to assist others, however. What benefits one must benefit all. When we recognize the omnipotent power that is the source of all supply, we adjust our consciousness to this supply in such a way that it constantly attracts all that it needs. We find that the more we give, the more we get. Giving in this sense implies service. The banker gives his money, the merchant gives her goods, the author gives his thought, the worker gives her skill. All have something to give. But the more they can give, the more they get, and the more they get, the more they are able to give. Successful entrepreneurs get much because they give much. They think. They're seldom the people who let someone else do their thinking for them. They want to know how results are to be secured. You must show them. When you can do this, they will furnish the means by which hundreds or thousands may profit, and in proportion, as those others are successful, the financier will be successful. Morgan, Rockefeller, Carnegie, Warren Buffett, and Bill and Melinda Gates did not get rich because they lost money for other people. On the contrary, it's because they made money for other people that they became the wealthiest people in the wealthiest country on the globe. The average person accepts the ideas of others and repeats them in very much the same way as a parrot. This docile attitude on the part of a majority, who are perfectly willing to let a few people do all their thinking for them, is what enables a few people to usurp all the avenues of power and hold the millions in subjection in a great many countries. Creative thinking requires attention. The power of attention is called concentration, which is directed by the will. For this reason, we must refuse to concentrate on or think of anything except the things we desire. Many people are constantly concentrating upon sorrow, loss, and discord of every kind. But, as thought is creative, this concentration inevitably leads to more loss, more sorrow, and more discord. How could it be otherwise? On the other hand, when we meet with success, gain, or any other desirable condition, we naturally concentrate on the effects of these things and thereby create more. And so it follows that much leads to more. The rich get richer. Spirit works in business. How to use our understanding of this principle in business is well expressed by an associate of mine. Spirit, whatever else it may or may not be, must be considered as the essence of consciousness, the substance of mind, the reality underlying thought. And as all ideas are phases of the activity of consciousness, mind, or thought, it follows that in spirit and in it alone is to be found the ultimate fact, the real thing or idea. Having admitted this, doesn't it seem reasonable that a true understanding of spirit and its laws of manifestation would be the most practical thing that a practical person can hope to find? Doesn't it seem certain that if the practical people of the world realized this fact, they would fall all over themselves, getting to where they might obtain knowledge of such spiritual things and laws? These people are not fools. They need only grasp this fundamental fact to move toward the essence of all achievement. Let me give you a concrete example. I know a man in Chicago whom I had always considered to be quite materialistic. He had made several successes in life and also several failures. The last time I talked with him, he was practically down and out. It looked as if he had reached the end of his rope, for he was well into middle age, and new ideas came slower and less frequently to him than in former years. In essence, he said to me, "I know that all things that work out in business are the result of thought. Any fool knows that. Just now I seem to be short on thoughts and good ideas. But if this all-mind teaching is correct, it should be possible for the individual to attain a direct connection with infinite mind. And in infinite mind there must be the possibility of all kinds of good ideas that a man of my courage and experience could put to practical use in the business world and so make a big success. It looks good to me and I am going to look into it." This was several years ago. The other day I heard of this man again. Talking to a friend, I said, "What has come of our old friend X? Has he ever gotten on his feet again?" The friend looked at me in amazement. "Why?" said he. "Don't you know about X's great success? He is the big man in the company," naming a concern which has made a phenomenal success during the last 18 months and is now well known, by reason of its advertisements from one end of the country to another, and also abroad. He is the man who supplied the big idea for that concern. Why, he's about 500,000 to the good and is moving rapidly toward the million mark, all in the space of 18 months. I had not connected this man with the enterprise mentioned, although I knew of the wonderful success of the company in question. Further investigation has shown that the story is true and that the above stated facts are not exaggerated in the slightest. Now, what do you think of that? To me, it means that this man actually made the direct connection with infinite mind, spirit, and having found it, he set it to work for him. He used it in his business. Does this sound unbelievable or outrageous? I hope not. I don't mean it to be so. Take away the implication of divine personality or magnified human nature from the concept of the infinite, and what you have left is the concept of an infinite presence of power, the essence of which is consciousness. In fact, at the last, it is spirit. As this man also, in the final analysis, must be considered a manifestation of spirit, there is nothing sacrilegious in the idea that he, being spirit, should so harmonize himself with his origin and source that he would be able to manifest at least a minor degree of its power. All of us do this, more or less, when we use our minds in the direction of creative thought. This man did more. He went about it in an intensely practical manner. I have not consulted him about his procedure, though I intend to do so at the first opportunity. I'm sure he not only drew upon the infinite supply for the ideas he needed, and which formed the seed of his success, he also used the creative power of thought in building for himself an ideal pattern of what he hoped to manifest in material form, adding to it, changing it, improving its detail from time to time, proceeding from the general outline to the finished detail. I consider this to be the case, not only from my memory of our conversation a few years ago, but also because I have found the same thing to be true in the cases of other prominent men who have made similar manifestation of creative thought. Those who may shrink from this idea of employing the infinite power to aid someone in his work in the material world should remember that if the infinite objected in the least to such a procedure, the thing could never happen. The infinite is quite able of taking care of itself. Spirituality is quite practical, very practical, intensely practical. It teaches that spirit is the reality, the whole, and that matter is but plastic stuff, which spirit is able to create, mold, manipulate, and fashion. So spirituality is the most practical thing in the world, the only really and absolutely practical thing there is. Applying the principle. This week, concentrate on the fact that a human being is not a body with a spirit, but a spirit with a body, and that it is for this reason that our desires are incapable of any permanent satisfaction in anything not spiritual. Money is therefore of no value except to bring about the conditions we desire, and these conditions are necessarily harmonious. Harmonious conditions require sufficient supply, so if there appears to be any lack, we should realize that the idea or soul of money is service. As this thought takes form, channels of supply will be opened, and you will have the satisfaction of knowing that spiritual methods are entirely practical. We have discovered that premeditated, orderly thinking for a purpose matures that purpose into fixed form, so that we may be absolutely sure of the result of our dynamic experiment. Francis Larimer Warner.